Hey everybody, welcome back to our show. Today we're going to talk about moms producing porn for younger people, a campus admissions scandal, and Captain Marvel.
Katrina, why don't you kick us right off with the adult industry talk of pornography. Give the people a quick summary of what's going on.
Okay, so I'm a Reddit user, but like a fairly new one. I started like 6 months ago. I don't know. Are you guys on Reddit? Do you use
Yeah,
Reddit?
of course.
I read Reddit. I don't have a Reddit account.
Okay, so
That's good.
I made one. It's really, I love Reddit. It's fascinating. But so I found this, what is it, a subreddit or a feed called Not the Onion, and they had this headline, and it was like, moms making porn for their kids, and I was like, this is really weird, I gotta check this out. So basically these moms got together and they said that they think porn is like sexist and problematic for women, and so what they're doing, because obviously everyone just has to view porn, I guess, they're getting together and they're making some of their own.
Well, they're not in it though.
No, I mean they're not in it, but they're writing and directing and casting.
Well, I think this is patently absurd because the idea that... So I read some of their comments, like one of them claims she watched a porno and that she started vomiting, like violently vomiting.
Well,
That's a little too much.
I don't believe that.
I mean,
that seems over the top.
It probably depends, like which one she watched.
I feel like most porn cannot incite that type of reaction.
I feel like there's a lot of porn out there that could probably make you puke. I don't know.
Sure, but I don't know that, like, you would have to go look for that porn.
You'd have to be on like the dark web for that, I feel like. Anyways, point being, I think the big question here is, one, are there issues with pornography? Mm-hmm. And two, is it normal for a bunch of like middle-aged women to get into the porn game because they're trying to push some new age feminist pornography? The answer to number two is it's obviously really stupid. That's just clear as day. The answer to number two is a little more cloudy, and it deals with why these women want to get into it, which I also think is stupid. Like, look, I don't know a ton about the business behind porn. Mm-hmm. I know that porn is widely consumed, and it's a billions and billions of dollars a year industry. Mm-hmm. The idea that these women are going to save pornography when you can just go on Pornhub and get whatever you want is just ludicrous. It just is.
But they don't want to save pornography. They just don't want their kids watching, like, nasty pornography.
Right. They're going to be like, little Johnny, like, here you go. Why don't you enjoy this material this weekend?
That's never going to work. That's never going to work, and I'll tell you why. Because I know how middle-aged women think. Mm-hmm. It's pretty boring.
Oh, yeah?
It's not creative at all.
What do you mean you know how middle-aged women think and it's pretty boring?
Well, because I know middle-aged women, and
actually, in their middle age, women's libido spikes and it falls for men. So I would say middle-aged women are
And there's actually a lot... Well, I'm not a middle-aged man. I'm still thriving in my 20s. And by thriving, it means like it works 60% of the time it needs to. But point being... Now you just made me lose track. Yeah, I know, because that's why women get like pregnant when they're 40, and everyone's like, "Oh my god,
like what's going on?
Like, how'd this happen?" Yeah. That's really dangerous, isn't it?
What? Yeah, it is. It's very dangerous.
Okay. Anyways, back to my point. There's no way that these like 5 British mothers, I think they're from North Wales.
Yeah.
Or so.
Of course, it's European.
Yeah, of course it's European. Damn you! We saved them from the Nazis in World War II, and this is how they think. It's shameful.
You've heard of birth strike, right? Well, they don't want to have babies anymore.
No, I don't know what that is.
There's a thing called birth strike. There are these people in the UK who don't want to have children because, whatchamacallit, because of climate change. They don't want to bring them into a terrible world.
That's why Spain has a minister of love.
Porn is not going to change. And I'm not saying that wild, insane, violent pornography is good. Mm-hmm. It's obviously not, especially if you view it as real, which young kids might. Yeah. That's dangerous. Mm-hmm. I don't think any full-grown adult views it as real. Mm-hmm. But the average pornographic video that you're going to find online is not going to be changed by 5 women in England. It's just not.
Well, but I don't think, I think Guillaume's right. Like, I don't think they're trying to change porn as a whole. I think they're just trying to make something that they can give to their kids.
Do you understand how creepy what you just said is?
That's the whole point. That's why, yeah.
It's insanely creepy.
It's very creepy.
Parents are thinking about what type of pornography they should produce for their children.
Yeah.
That's insane. These women are insane. And also, what's the plot of this female-driven kid-friendly, female-driven pornographic film? How's the plot in this thing working out?
I genuinely have no idea. Maybe Twilight. Maybe it's a little like 50 Shades of Grey.
The guy no, that would not be female-friendly. I guarantee you that the 50 Shades of Grey vein of sex would not be considered female friendly.
What's funny about that, though, is it was huge. Like, women loved it.
Yeah, but see, these women aren't like most women because most women don't want to make porn for children. So these women are already in the fringe element groups, and they're probably hypersensitive feminists.
Yeah.
And I don't think hypersensitive feminists were down with 50 Shades of Grey. Most women who have a wild streak in them, most women have a closet wild streak in them. That's why they were driven by 50 Shades of Grey, because it felt like, ooh, this taboo thing. But the feminists who are all like, this guy, this billionaire is like abusing her and stuff, they're not going to be down with that. Like, what, the guy comes home and the woman demands he, like, do the dishes and take out the trash, and then, like, after he does all of her chores for her, like, and he's already worked a 14-hour shift and he just worked 3 hours more. It's like, then they have sex as if he's going to have energy for that. Like, this is, it's such an unrealistic plot that I can already envision in my head. So we'll leave it.
Okay,
That's all I'm saying. It's stupid.
But here's my question. So you said that most, there's some gross porn out there that's problematic or whatever. Do you think that the rest is just harmless? Like, what's your take on porn?
No, I don't. It just occurred to me. We should actually ask people to weigh in on this, like actual people in the industry, because I bet you most of them agree with me. I think they would all say that this is asinine and insanely stupid.
Would anybody say that it's not stupid?
Well, if someone's consuming their product, then obviously they think it's not stupid. Otherwise, why would they be consuming it? Do I think there's a problem with pornography? I think it's a problem if very young people consume pornography. I think that's bad.
I think porn in general is bad. I think it's stupid.
Okay, why?
You think porn is... You're stupid.
It's a really good argument. No, I just think, one, from like a secular physiological standpoint, it totally rewires your brain and your pleasure receptors. And so it literally rewires you to look at women differently. And I think that's bad. I think that's unhealthy. Two, just from like a cultural standpoint, like you see these guys who are like, they're getting older and they're not getting married and they're just like dinking around with their friends. It's like, I think that this contributes to the whole mindset that you don't need to grow up. I've heard someone make the point before, and I think it's a really good point, that it makes you think you're Genghis Khan. It puts you in this mindset that you can just go out and you can conquer all these women, because that's what you're doing essentially, right? Is you're like conquering women. And I think it gives you a sense of like immaturity in terms of developing actual relationships with women.
Okay. I don't know about the science behind any of this, so I want to be on the record and admit I have not studied one bit the effects of pornography on the public. Here's what I would say. Number one, I know porn stars through work.
Yeah.
They're very normal people.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
It's viewed as like a business, so it's not like, I think there's this big stereotype that they're like plucking like the extremely insecure, and obviously those women exist, but it's not like that. It's a business model that is used to generate money. Okay?
I'm sure it is.
Step one, people got to understand that this is a business.
Yeah.
Step two, it's a vice, in my opinion, like any other vice. If you drink a bunch of alcohol and you get addicted to alcohol, you're going to have serious problems. But there's people who drink all the time, don't have problems. Same with cigarettes, cocaine, weed, and on and on. It's a vice. And if you view it as such and you recognize it's a not real, number one, then I don't actually think pornography has that bad impacts on society. Now, you will always have nut jobs who are like the people in the basement who are losers and stuff. So forget, women make up a considerable amount of the viewing audience.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
Not nearly as much as men, though.
It's about 35 to 40%.
That's higher than I thought it was.
It's way higher than you would think.
I wonder what the different level of the seriousness of the porn is, though.
There is, so Pornhub releases statistics on all this stuff. You can actually, they'll show you exactly what women search for. Yeah. And most of the time, women are searching for, their number one search term, I believe, is lesbian.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So they're watching a lot of lesbian porn.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
But three, I will say, if you're a young kid, it is, when I was a kid, the internet was just kind of, really coming into a thing. And the generation before me, they only had like Playboy or like DVDs and stuff. Problem now is, if you're 12 years old or 11 years old and you can get on it, and you can get on Twitter, there's just full hardcore pornography on Twitter. That should be concerning, because 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds should not be watching that stuff, because they're not smart enough, their brains aren't developed enough to recognize what's going on. That's my only issue with pornography. I don't understand, again, there's some stuff in it that is, to me is just downright weird.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like this. People like make this like a huge cultural issue, and it's like I really just don't care. Like, it's just not. You can go to an R-rated movie and see similar stuff. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think that's the best thing either. I think the further you divorce physical intimacy from emotional and spiritual intimacy, the more you're perverting something. I think the worse it is. The further you take like actual relationships from sexuality, the bigger the problem is, and the more likelihood that you'll develop an unhealthy mentality towards sex.
So I know you're married, obviously. But what if you were dating someone and you found out, well, first off, would you just automatically assume at some point that they were viewing pornography?
I would ask.
And
I would ask.
How would you ask?
Because I'm a religious person and I take my faith very seriously. So that's something that would be on the table. As soon as it was comfortable, I'd be, listen, like, first of all, I would talk about faith very early on. And as a Christian, I think that that's something that needs to come up in a relationship.
Okay, so what if he's like, once in the last 3 months, I watched a pornographic image?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not just going to, like dump the guy, but I would just be like, okay, like, why? Is that something that you think is okay? Like, that's not something that I think is okay.
But you would make it an issue.
I would make it an issue. Yeah.
See,
oh, yeah.
I think most guys would not think it was an issue at all.
And I think that's a problem. I actually think that the way things are sexualized, everything is like so hypersexualized right now. And I think that it's bad for men. I really do. I think that it trains them to look at women differently.
Well, it's a good thing you're married, because I'm about to crack an egg of knowledge right over your head.
Okay, let's go. Please.
Good luck finding a guy who has not watched pornography at any point in his life.
But I'm not saying that I would only ever be with a guy that has never seen pornography, or that I think like it's totally irredeemable. I just think in terms of it being like a lifestyle or a habit that people have, I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good for relationships. And I don't think it's good for men or women.
Yeah, at least you're consistent. So you're as firm anti-porn as you can get. I think
it has no place in anyone's life. Yeah, I totally think that people should just cut it out.
So what if someone treats it like a video? Do you think violent video games are a problem?
No.
But those can alter your mind.
But it's not just about the mind altering either. It's about sexual relationships, which I think are extraordinarily significant. I don't believe in the idea that you can just like participate in pornography and it never affect the way you view sex. So, and as a religious person, I have a very particular view about that.
Okay, but you can't play. Do you think you can play a World War II video game and have it impact your view of what World War II was, just running through the snow killing Nazis?
Well, I'm sure that having a video game maybe changes the way you think about some things, but it's not the same as participating in sex. Like, people can go their whole life without participating in World War II, but sex is something that we do to relate to people that we love. It's different.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not really. I think people can view pornography and not have it have like any impact.
Then
there's a difference between the person who watches it on a handful of occasions and the person who watches it every day.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely.
And it's like the person who drinks 1 beer a week and the guy who drinks a case of beer a day.
Yeah, I mean there's different levels obviously, and if someone is addicted, that's different than if they just have used it before and use it sometimes. That's different.
So what would you do if your boyfriend went to a strip club?
That would be a very serious conversation. I'm not okay with that at all.
So anything that involves women at all in any aspect, you're not okay with. What if he's watching a Nicki Minaj music video?
That would depend on why he's watching it.
He's a fan of the song.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is, because I think case by case, it just comes down to communicating with people. You know what I mean? Like, so I have no rule about, if this happens, it's over.
If he comes to you and he says, I love Nicki Minaj's new song.
Yeah.
I just can't get enough of it. And there just happen to be topless models in the video.
And he's
like, I am just as disgusted by this video as you are, but I can't get enough of the artistic direction in it.
I'm not buying that, first of all. Men are visual creatures. They notice stuff like that.
There you go.
Men are visual creatures.
So that's the point. That's how their DNA is hardwired.
Right, so I'm saying that you shouldn't go out and you shouldn't seek to indulge that.
Would you rather they just had sex with a bunch of random people they didn't care? These are the options on the table for you.
Oh my God.
I don't think that life works.
These are the options on the table for you. Would you rather they went out and had as much promiscuous sex as they could because, you know, they're driven, testosterone-filled, biology's kicking in? Or would you prefer that they just watch porn? Which one do you think is worse for society? The dude who sleeps with 100 women or the guy who watches porn?
Okay.
I have the answer to that question for you.
No, this is tough because I think it is better for the individual male psyche to have actual sex than to participate in porn. But with like abortion on the table, that maybe changes the equation a little.
But here's the thing. The guy who has sex with 100 women, he's now impacted 100 different lives. Likely, many of them in a negative way. Because he doesn't care about these women, right? But so they're now emotionally vulnerable and hurt. The guy who just watches porn at home, he's not hurting anyone
except for himself and the people that he will have a relationship with in the future.
But there's no guarantee that he hurts the people he has a relationship with.
And there's no guarantee he hurts the people he has sex with.
But odds are if he's just loving them and leaving them, they're not going to like that very much.
And odds are if he watches porn on a regular basis, he's hardwiring his brain to look at his future wife in a certain way that will be harmful to their relationship.
Yeah, I don't think many guys like that. I'm sure there's some that are.
There aren't many guys like that. I think it's a problem. I think the fact that it's so normal that guys can watch porn on a regular basis is
so
a problem.
can women, though.
And women, but
you
it's
have
more
the
guys.
same access to pornography as the two of us do.
I know. So
it's not that it's easy for us and difficult for you. Women have the same level of access.
Yeah.
So I'm just pointing out that the way you said that, it made it sound like it was so easy for us, but as if like there was a double standard, but there's not because it's easy for everyone.
No, it's easy for anybody to get porn.
The only people I think it should be difficult, and this isn't even getting into the First Amendment argument.
Yeah.
The only people I think it should be not easy to get their hands on pornography and should not have it are kids, like R-rated movie standards.
Well, if you're talking about a legislative standpoint,
well, that's already the case.
That's different.
I'm just saying from even like a parenting and a society standpoint, like that goes back to why these women who are making these porns are so dumb because they're specifically doing it to market it towards younger people who are the people you probably don't want to do that to because they're not smart enough to see what's going on.
I just think that's so dangerous to instead of, it's the whole mentality of saying like, oh, well, if my kids are going to do this anyway, I might as well be the supplier of this problem, you know? They think that if their kids are just going to watch porn anyway, they should just give it to them. I think that's...
I actually want to see one of these female-friendly, kid-friendly pornos because I need to know what the plot is.
What is a kid-friendly porno? There's no such thing as a kid-friendly porno. Porno kills.
Porno kills.
Porn kills. It kills love.
I know several women in the industry who would beg to differ with you, my friend.
That it kills love?
Oh, kills love. I thought you meant like kills people.
No.
I don't know if it. People. I don't think they would say it kills love. You know what? I'll email one of them as soon as we're done with the link. I'll hit them up with this, and we'll see what they say. We'll see what they say.
Okay.
And hey, either way, we'll just broaden our horizons, and we'll see what happens.
All right. So our next topic, we're going to talk about college. A topic a lot of people like, but maybe not in the best light right now.
College was the best 9 years of my life.
I was going to argue with you because I hated college, but then you said 9 years.
I loved college for the record.
College was great.
Well, you guys had a good time in college, right? Like
I had a blast in college.
I would say most people have a solid time in college.
But I don't want to go back to college. See, a lot of people, I hate the people. Sorry, G, if this is, I don't know if you've ever said, okay, good.
Either. College is sad.
I hate the people who, well, it's a fun time.
You can't offend our token black guys.
It's a fun time, but it's like you can't go back to it.
Right. I hate the people who are like, oh, I just wish I was back in college. That is so sad.
That's really sad.
If the words, I wish I was back in college, ever leave your mouth, you are a f***ing bum. You are a loser. You're a bum. And I'll tell you why. Every stage of your life should be the best stage that you're in. I had a ton of fun in college.
Yeah.
If I miraculously like walked through a time portal and didn't know it and was in my junior year at Wisconsin or whatever, I wouldn't be like, oh fuck, like I'm back in college. I'd be like, like let's get the crew back together, like let's get it underway. But I have just as much, if not more, fun now, and I'm now older.
Wiser.
I don't know if I'm wiser.
Eyes are bluer.
I'm still making. Well, my eyes are. You can't get any bluer than these bad boys. I'm still making a lot of the same dumb decisions I was, with a variety of subjects. But point being, I hate people who are like, I'd go back to college. It's like, wow, that's just an indictment of how shitty your life is. Like, that sucks.
Yeah. Like people who peaked.
That sucks. I hope I never get to a point where I'm like, I wish I could go back to this. I had fun.
Won't.
I had fun in high school. Would not go back to high school. Had
Not.
had a blast in college. Wouldn't go back to college.
Yeah.
Had a
Yeah.
blast when I first showed up in D.C. Wouldn't go back to that. It's just like I'm just having so much fun as we're chugging along. I wouldn't go back to any of it.
It's just a big camera roll of fun for Hookstead.
No, there's ups and downs. There's ups and
Yeah.
downs, part of the journey. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back to a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. I wouldn't. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying everything as it comes.
That's good.
He's an advocate of living in the present.
Mindfulness, yeah.
Your ticket to the afterlife can get punched moment's notice
But the reason that college is in the news right now,
because their parents are bribing their kids' way into schools.
huge college admission scandal, huge. So do you want to explain what's
Well,
going on?
first thing, I'd just like to go on the record right now. My parents did not bribe anyone to get me into any schools. If anything, the schools might have bribed my parents to force me to leave.
Where'd you go to school, Hookstead?
I went to a few schools. I did a little time at the local state prison. They have some classes you can take.
No, you didn't.
I didn't go to prison.
Oh, I was like,
I graduated from the University of Wisconsin.
Madison?
really?
Yeah. You knew that
I didn't know
already.
that because your
Oh,
shirt.
shit.
And
But I bounced around beforehand for a little bit.
Yeah.
Had to take some time to be a cowboy out west, but ultimately I graduated.
what does that
from
even
Madison.
mean? What do you mean by that?
I was like a cowboy.
Like, what were you doing?
Like cowboy shit. I can't tell you. If you don't know what that means,
I think
you'll
you're
not
making it
understand
up. I think you're
What,
making it
like-
up. Like, were you herding cattle? Were you like
No.
farming?
No. It's more about the vibe. Being a cowboy is
You were
more about,
vibing?
I was just vibing with the. I was vibing with the Rocky Mountains. See, that's what I'm saying. Living in the moment.
He's vibing with the Rocky Mountains. That's good.
Anyways, let's get back on.
Sorry.
I don't want to. For someone who just gave a huge long talk about how offended she is by porn, I don't want to.
I'm not offended.
Your hair might curl if you heard the stories of what we were up to back in the day. So we'll keep it PG while we're here.
Okay,
Anyways. So yes, parents were essentially, there was this guy allegedly running a scam where he would bribe coaches to get students in,
Sure.
pretending to be athletes, and then he had some genius whiz kid who was taking all their SATs, or most of their SATs
Yeah.
allegedly, and it sounded like a genius plan. Actually, they got, my understanding is they tried to not pay tax, so he set up a fake charity that they paid money to,
Yeah.
and they tried to write the money off, and that is my understanding where they got caught.
Yes.
So they got a little too greedy.
Okay.
See, but you're missing, you skipped over what is my favorite part, which is that they were trying to sell all these kids as athletes in like unpopular sports, so
Like
crew.
water polo and stuff.
Yeah.
And they would Photoshop like the heads of these kids onto the bodies of like actual athletes, and then sell it as like.
Can I say something about that? Okay, so one of the famous families that's involved in this, Lori Loughlin, is that how you say her name?
Yes.
She's Aunt Becky from Full House.
Thank you.
So Aunt Becky's daughter, Olivia Jade, who's a YouTuber that I have followed for a long time. I've been watching her YouTube channel for a long time.
Do you feel betrayed?
I feel like she's been faking everything. Like, how do we even know? But anyway.
Welcome to the internet.
So they portrayed her, or maybe her sister, but I think it's her.
I think it's her.
As a coxswain and crew.
Yep.
And in order to do
She
that.
uploaded photos to her Instagram of her like practicing. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was a coxswain in high school, and they took a picture of her on an erg, which is like the machine that you practice rowing on when you're inside. And that's what they submitted as proof that she's a coxswain. Coxswains don't row. I mean, this is a really obscure sport thing to be upset about, but coxswains like don't get on the ergs. There's no point. We walk around and we yell at people on the ergs, and we stare at bread longingly because we have to be skinny. Like, I was so upset when I saw that. I was like, seriously? Like, nobody caught this?
To go on the record here, I don't think what these parents did was actually that bad at all. I think the idea that that the federal government is investigating this is absurd. Here's the reality of the matter. If you have the money, you're going to try to give your kids. Some parents will give their kids, they'll do whatever it takes to get into school because they view it as like a prestige and a success thing. Here's the reality of it. If your kid's too stupid to get into USC, Georgetown, Texas, or any of those schools to begin with,
Yeah.
if he's too dumb to get in there, he or she, and you pay millions of dollars to get him in anyways, odds are he's still going to fail. Because if he can't hack it on his own, he won't hack it in life.
Well, see, that's the sad part, though, is that these kids didn't fail. They got in and they're doing fine.
Well,
And I think that
I don't
says a
know-
lot about the university.
I don't know if they're doing. I don't know what their grades are, but that's not. I'm saying like eventually you have to be successful on your own, and these parents are crippling
Yeah.
their children
Yeah.
by not letting go of their hands. You know, it's like you throw them in the water and you tell them you can either learn to swim today or you can drown to death. Those are your two options, and instead they're just keeping them in the boat. And they're
Right.
just driving them around.
Right. Like if you protect your kid from consequences, it'll catch up with them.
Right. Absolutely.
But I think it says, I think it's sad on two fronts. I think one, it's sad, and this is not a take that I originally came up with. I've seen this on Twitter, so I just want to be honest. But I thought it was a really good one, is that these kids got into school and a lot of them graduated and a lot of them are still there. Like they're in their second or third year or whatever, which means they haven't flunked out yet. And I think that really says something about the university, that kids that weren't qualified to get in are staying in. And that means they're not doing their job on an educational front. They're not being good educators.
Once you get in, though, there's enough academic resources that if you want help, they will get you.
Do you think those kids are going to those academic resources? Like Olivia Jade said on her YouTube channel, I don't care about school, I like to party. She's not going to get remedial math help.
Maybe, probably not. She's also probably in the easiest classes imaginable.
Exactly, and
Also
I'm just
possible.
saying that says something if colleges are so bad at challenging students that people that were not qualified to get in are just passing, and they're fine.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I think that's
I'm just saying
something.
I don't care. I think the federal government
you don't
shouldn't
care
be
about it
wasting
at
their
all.
time on this. If I was worth a couple $100 million
Yeah.
and I thought I could get away with stuff via bribes, I would do it.
But don't you think it's sad for the kids that
Well, they didn't.
this is their...
They didn't tell the kids, most of them.
Yeah, that's
allegedly.
horrible.
No, the kid's living in ignorance. He thinks if it's kind of one of those things like, does something you don't know, can something you don't know hurt you?
I mean, I think it can, because I think it's a growing experience to be challenged by college, to fail.
But you
But
can't.
they were
getting into
challenged
But
by
they,
college.
they are challenged. Once you get in there, all those things can still happen. They just needed the door open.
Yeah, well, what I mean specifically is especially the challenge of like paying for college, like having to work a job while you're in college. I think those things are...
That they were never going to do that anymore.
Yeah,
Their
but I
parents are
just...
rich.
But I just think that's sad. I think that's sad for them that they miss out on that experience of having to make that personal investment. I also think it's sad
Wait, so
too.
if you don't work during college, you don't understand the college life?
That's not what I said. I'm just saying that it's good for kids to work in college because it adds this level of like personal investment.
But they can do that too anyway.
What do you mean?
Like them once they're in college, they can still work. Like them getting in illegitimately doesn't stop them from getting a job.
To pay for your own college.
And that's why I don't think these kids should get thrown out. If they were truly innocent in the whole thing, I don't
Yeah.
think the kids should be punished at all.
Yeah.
Now, they might choose to leave on their own
Yeah.
out of embarrassment.
No
Right.
way.
Yeah.
They're not. No way. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, why would they leave? Okay. I don't think their names are going to get disclosed publicly.
Some of them have though already.
Well, the parents' names are public, though. So,
yeah.
so the kids' names
not
are
too
going
hard
to
to
be
figure out.
very easy to find.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
I don't think the kids should be thrown out either if they were innocent because they didn't know. And if they're still there, then they're earning their right to be there just as much as anybody else. I think it's sad that this has to happen because to me it says that our culture puts way too much focus on a 4-year degree at a university. Like if they can get into college without a
That's
bribe,
not what
they
this
should
is-
go to
that's
trade
not what-
school.
That's not what this is.
Oh, I think it is because I think that colleges, everybody thinks that you have to go to college, and I don't think that you do.
All these kids could have gotten into different 4-year colleges. This has nothing to do with a 4-year degree.
But it's about a prestigious 4-year degree.
It has
Yeah.
to do with going to a school with a certain name recognition.
Yeah.
They don't actually care what these kids' grades are.
Yeah.
They just need them in those schools.
Right, and I think that's sad. I think that's bad for culture.
Well, a wise person once told me that it's not the guys who graduate from Harvard that run the world. It's the guys who graduate from other places with a chip on their shoulder who feel like they were overlooked and disrespected. And that's true.
Yeah.
That is a true statement.
Yeah.
The most successful people I know on this planet, for the most part. I got to be very careful with what I'm about to say because I don't want anyone watching this, who I'm actually talking about in a positive fashion, to be aired out to the millions of you watching.
Right.
The most successful people I know, some of them barely passed high school, and they got
Yeah.
tens of millions of dollars in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay? I know people who went to Ivy League schools and are some of the least impressive individuals I've ever met.
Right.
Now, I know some people who went to Ivy League schools and are very impressive
Right.
individuals.
Right.
The point is, simply believing that a Harvard degree is guaranteed to make you wealthy, it'll open some doors for you that you probably wouldn't have had opened otherwise.
Yeah.
You don't need a Harvard degree to be rich.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
You just
No, I
don't.
totally agree. I totally agree. It's about, I think, finding your talent and finding your opportunity to contribute something to the world that you can be really good at. And I think for a lot of people, that's not college. I think kids have been sold this bill of goods that your only choice after high school is to go to college. And I think that's really bad. I think we need to shift away from that, for sure.
So let's go around the table real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the parents should be arrested for what they did?
To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure what the actual charge is.
I think
Is it
it's
fraud?
tax fraud.
Or
I
is
think it's a tax charges, and then they sent documents through the mail.
Yeah.
So I think they got like
A RICO,
fraud,
right?
like conspiracy and fraud via the post office. I'm not really sure. It's weird, but do you think they should be arrested?
I mean, I guess I'd have to know what they were being arrested for. Like
Fraud.
If they're
Federal fraud.
I don't. If the fraud is that they were trying to get these deductions or like tax deductions, I think then yes, because that's.
They put Felicity Hoffman. Sorry, not to cut you out. They put
okay.
Felicity Hoffman's bail at $250,000. Like she just murdered somebody.
Yeah.
I think Lori Loughlin's husband's bail is bond is at like $1 million. Something absurd.
Well, they allegedly did this on a higher scale than Felicity Hoffman
Yeah.
did. So she like is on the hook for I think like 15 or 30 grand.
Okay.
Lori Loughlin is on the hook I think for allegedly more than $500,000.
Why do they pay so much?
Have you seen how dumb their daughter is?
No.
There was going to be a premium to fake that one, my friend.
So what do you think?
I don't really think that they should go to jail just because, okay, I guess now that they've been caught and they're charging them with fraud, fine, sure, send them to jail, but I don't find this to be very different from people who, like, make massive donations to a school to get their kid in. Like, it's the same thing.
Right, and the FBI even, like, made that point that, like, there's ways to do this above water. I don't think they should go to jail. I don't even think what they did was that bad. No, I really don't care.
I think it's a shame if people get into school and they didn't deserve it on their merits. I think that's a shame.
Do you have a problem with athletes getting in schools?
If they don't have the academic merit, absolutely.
That is so far from the correct take. I don't even know where to begin.
That's what college is supposed to be about, is education. So
Oh my gosh.
the athlete is supposed to come second.
You are so wrong. I'm about to shoot through the roof. How many times have you ever seen people buy tickets and pack a stadium to watch a kid take a math test?
That's a non sequitur. I'm talking about the purpose of a university is for education. It doesn't matter if people would pay more money.
Ooh, you are so wrong, my friend. What do you think funds the university in a large part?
Well, I think that universities can certainly do a better job at managing their money. And I think tuition...
What funds schools?
Tuition is supposed to.
But it can't cover it all, so where's the
Yes,
rest
it can. That's the whole part of the free market, is that you charge for a service, and you should be able to pay for your tuition. That gives you your education.
I'm going to give you a quick 101 on the economics behind major college sports. Those sports programs generate, the big ones, generate money that is then reinvested in the school, thus making it a better school, more attractive to smarter students, draws more out-of-state students, which thus drives more revenue. If those teams aren't good, they need good athletes. Not all athletes have great grades. Then the teams suck. They lose money. The quality of the school drops. Case in point, Alabama. The University of Alabama today is light years ahead of what Alabama was decades ago. Why is that? They have arguably the greatest football program in the country over the last 13, 14 years. That has generated hundreds, at this point, probably over $1 billion over that time. That money goes back to the school, makes it a far more attractive program to out-of-state students who pay more money. Makes it a better school as a whole. I'm sure their rankings have shot up. That doesn't happen without athletes who could not get in being there.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things there. Of course, like, sports bring in a ton of money, obviously. But the idea that just throwing money at a school and having, like, newer and fancier things all the time suddenly makes the quality of the education better is not true. Some of the most expensive schools in the country have some very poor education programs. I think it's more about the rigor of the university. And I think that the way sports are working now, they take the focus off the academics a lot.
Well, again, but it's not like the focus has to be split one or the other. During Monday through Friday, the focus can be on academics, and Saturday, it's the day to make money.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
when you're
what it
talking
is.
about, like, the student lifestyle in college, you're right. But if you're talking about letting students into your college for athletics rather than education, I think you do start to shift the focus of college away from education.
But you're not... I think you're missing my point here. By letting those students in, those athletes in, okay, they make the education possibilities of the school better. So you're actually hurting the academics of the school if you don't have good athletic programs?
Not necessarily. By letting those students in, you might have more money that might get you a better education program, or it just might give you newer, fancier things that actually don't affect the quality of the education.
It might.
But you are letting in students who can't rise to certain educational standards, and that immediately inherently lowers the quality of the educational environment.
Letting in 50 students in a school of 20,000 does not lower the quality.
I don't think I know any schools that have full athletic programs with 50 students. Do you?
No, I'm assuming 50 students who didn't belong there,
right,
but got in through help of a coach.
Right, and I'm just saying I would bet you that most athletic programs are full of athletes that can't rise to the academic standard of the college.
I would disagree with that 100%. I've worked in major college athletics.
Yeah,
I would say confidently only 20% of those students needed help to get in.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing then. I mean, if that really is the case, that's a good thing.
And so, to me, if you cripple the athletics at major programs like Alabama, Wisconsin, Ohio State, you cripple the school because the money dries up. So then what do? They jack up your tuition, which then makes it really expensive, and it's like almost a...
They're not lowering your tuition because they're making more money in sports. That just doesn't happen.
The University of Wisconsin didn't have to raise tuition for years and years and years, large part because we had, at one point, the most lucrative athletic program in the country that was making hundreds of millions of dollars. So if they needed money, they already had it. Now, I do believe there's been some tuition bumps since then.
Yeah. And did they raise room and board costs? Usually it's one or the other. They usually raise tuition or they raise room and board every single year.
I never roomed and board at Wisconsin, so I don't know.
Yeah. They probably... There's a chance they were raising that every year.
You need big-time revenue-generating things. I mean, if you have a stadium...
I don't think you do.
You have a stadium of 80,000 people, and the average ticket is $100. I'm not a math wizard. That's $8 million.
But if that were true, if what you're saying were true, then there would be tons of universities who... there wouldn't be any universities, There wouldn't be any universities that are open and thriving that don't have athletic programs, which is not the case. Look at, like, Hillsdale.
MIT.
Okay, those are private institutions.
Yeah.
I'm talking, this really applies to public schools.
Well, public schools, I guess, are a different beast.
Where did you go to school?
I started out at Notre Dame, and then
You went to Notre Dame and you're lecturing me on college athletics?
I transferred.
You're talking about it. Notre Dame is tough to get into for athletes.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm just saying I think that it should be. I think that athletes should have to rise to the same standard as anybody else in terms of academic merit.
That is
so good for Notre Dame.
Well, they don't rise to everyone else, but they're higher than the average kid getting into Texas Tech or something for sure.
Yeah.
But we just don't agree on this. It's just that simple. And that's my championship mindset of win at all cost is why...
Your championship mindset?
The Badgers will win. Could you imagine how bad college hockey would be if those kids had to have... You need about a 3.8 and a 30 on your ACT to guarantee admission into the University of Wisconsin. A premier college hockey program.
Yeah.
Future NHL stars. What do you think our hockey team would look like if that's what players had?
No, I mean, and the sports fan in me understands where you're coming from because I love hockey. But I'm just saying that the person who likes school in me, which I love school, says that you should get in on your educational merit, and that's the bottom line.
Everyone else should be, unless you can help the school financially. At which point, no, because it's a money thing. I
might say that yes, until the extent that you're lowering the quality of education at the school as a whole. I would say that's okay until you let in so many people that don't rise to the standard that the standard drops.
So in a 20,000 student body, how many athletes are you comfortable letting in?
Well, I just mean I don't know if I could give you a number, but I just mean on principle, every time you let in someone that isn't qualified to be there, you're taking the spot away from someone that is.
But you recognize they're doing stuff other students aren't doing, right?
Right, but the point of college is to go to get a degree.
It's supposed to be a well-rounded 4 years.
But the point of college isn't to go and play sports.
I would disagree with you. For some people, that is what college is about.
I think that's a problem. I think
college should
be for education.
If you're a poor inner city kid, and someone comes to you and says, "I'll pay for your school to go to Northwestern or whatever," guess why you're in school? It's not because they want you to take tests. Your meal ticket is on the football field or the basketball field.
Right, and I would agree
and you can get your degree, and that'll help you in life.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, you're there to win football games.
Right, but I think it's cruel if you take an inner city kid to a school that he's not or she's not qualified to succeed in educationally.
They will help you so much. It'll be no. It's not like they just throw you to the wolves once you get in. You're talking about the best tutors, the best programs, the best everything. They are gonna. If you're part of the athletic program, you will have. They will make sure you succeed, unless you really don't want to. You can fuck it up. I've seen it with my own eyes. But if you want to be there and you want to succeed, they will get you to succeed. I guarantee you.
Yeah, but is that fair to another kid who wouldn't need all that and could go there and succeed without that
He
help?
probably gets in anyways. The idea that athletes steal spots from other students is just not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
Those spots are just for it's not like we have 50 spots. We're admitting 50 freshmen this year.
Yeah.
The football team gets 10, the basketball team gets 5, and the rest of the school gets 35. It's the school's admitting 50 students, and these 15 athletes don't count against the cap. They're just there.
Right, but clearly they get preferential treatment in admissions. Otherwise, these parents wouldn't have pulled the scam they did.
No. Yeah, they get a little bit lower in the in GPA, ACT. That all varies school to school and by athletic program.
Yeah.
But they do get preferential treatment. But my point is, the school looks at them as more valuable.
I don't think that athletes should get preferential treatment.
The best player at the University of Wisconsin, when I was there on the basketball team, Frank Kaminsky, was more valuable to the school than I was. Now, you could make the argument since leaving school I've had a better career than his NBA career. That's a debate to be had. But
it depends on what value you're talking about exchanging currency in.
Money.
Yeah, so if all you're trying to do is make money for the school, then what you're saying makes total sense. But if you're actually trying to build a higher education of learning, or a higher institution of learning, then I think it doesn't.
Fair.
Okay, so Captain Marvel
Haven't seen it.
recently came out. I haven't seen it either. Have you seen it?
No, I had a friend see it. He said it was cool.
He said he liked it. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews.
But Brie Larson is kind of a smoke, so.
Oh, I love her.
But doesn't the rhetoric bother you at all? She's
What do you
like
mean?
super anti-white male.
Okay, that's fine.
She's
just-
also,
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine for you. I don't know if it's fine for me,
she's
but
also
anything.
super anti-male in general.
I think she'll get past it. I'm pretty charming.
That's the thing. Oh man.
What?
That's the thing with guys is they're willing to look past some serious character flaws and lapse in judgments
Wait,
just
hold
for
on.
a pretty face.
Hold on. Just so I'm clear. You're telling me some men will occasionally overlook very negative things in women
Yeah.
that are patterns of behavior because they might be physically attracted to them.
Yes.
This is news to me. Go on.
I'm just saying that it bothers me, okay? It's just a problem. I think it's bad.
I've never heard of such a ludicrous lifestyle decision.
Well, that's what you get for being on a podcast with me. I just bring the hottest takes
My
that
eyes
people have
are
never
open.
heard from.
Where were you when I was about 13 years old onward? You could have saved me a lot of heartache along the way.
All right. Well, you know what? I've just about had it with this sass. So, Captain Marvel.
Yep.
I haven't seen it. I've heard mixed reviews. I heard some people really liked it, actually.
And you want to know if I think it's okay for women to leave the kitchen to be in action movies.
Wow.
You could word it that way, I guess. Do you have an answer?
Yes, I think it's fine.
I think the thing about Captain Marvel is a lot of people...
As long as they're back in time to make dinner.
Oh my god.
our comments. A lot of people were talking about this movie, and Brie Larson was like, a lot of people that defended the movie were saying this is amazing because it's the first time that a female has been in a Marvel movie, which fundamentally isn't true.
It's the first time that a female's headlined a Marvel movie.
I think there was another one. Wasn't it called like Elektra?
Oh,
wow.
the Jennifer Garner one.
Yeah.
But she was
Oh my
also
God.
in Daredevil, which was Elektra was spawned off that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Ben
was
Affleck
that
best Daredevil?
was that Marvel?
Daredevil's
I
Marvel.
think so. I think. Hold on.
pretty sure Electra's
I'll
Marvel.
look this up, but
But-
I think so.
So
she,
that's
she
wrong.
was so hot in Daredevil. I might have Daredevil on DVD back at my parents' house. She was so hot in that movie.
Jennifer Garner's a beautiful woman.
Jennifer Garner is so hot.
She's a beautiful woman. She was great in Alias.
Have you seen Alias?
Yeah, I love Alias.
Alias.
Such a good show. But the bottom line is that
No, go on.
a lot of people have this line on Twitter that bothers me so much, and they're saying like, "Oh, women never get cast in action movies and stuff." And you know what that does? That just exposes women who have bad taste in movies because they're obviously not watching all the action movies out there that have amazing female leads. Uma Thurman was incredible in Kill Bill.
So there's
right.
Uma Thurman. There is Angelina Jolie in Tomb Raider, and then she was in Saw, which is kind of an action movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Keira Knightley was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana and Colombiana.
Yep.
Such a good
Oh
movie.
shit, that rhymes.
She was great. There was
Jessie Jane played a pirate in the critically acclaimed hit Pirates.
Alicia Vikander in the new Tomb Raider.
Alicia Vikander in the new Tomb Raider.
Saoirse.
Michelle-
Also, I'm pretty sure
Fast and
Jessie
Furious.
Jane might have starred as a fighter jet pilot in a different one of her feature films.
I think Saoirse Ronan. I think is that her name? Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
I think she was in. I think it was her. But there's this movie called Hannah, and it's about a young girl spy.
Is that a
super,
movie?
It's super badass. It's such a good movie.
But yeah, Jennifer Garner, she was in Alias. That was badass.
Yeah. It was a TV show, but it was
But it was
really
still
good.
badass.
It was really good.
Jennifer Lawrence was in Sparrow, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I've never
But
seen it.
she was in those X-Men movies as well.
Also,
the Hunger Games.
And the Hunger Games.
Also, Underworld.
Yep.
Amazing
Kate-
trilogy with Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale.
Only the first movie was good. The
No,
other
they
two
were
trash.
all so good. I am so here for werewolf / Kate Beckinsale romances. Amazing storyline.
Wait, so that's Kate Beckinsale? That's the woman who's dating Pete Davidson
That's
now?
the one
Yeah.
who's dating Pete Davidson.
Oh, okay.
She could
I
do
do
so
think
much
she's
better.
a smoke. Okay.
Well, you've heard the rumors about old Petey, haven't you?
But you don't have to look at that all day, and you do have to look at his face.
Well,
I'm not. I mean, that's me. I
I've heard
shouldn't
he's
say
a
that,
very.
but
I've heard he's a very nice guy, though.
I guess that's true. I shouldn't be so mean.
Don't be so
I
judgmental.
shouldn't be so judgmental. I'm sorry. I just think he looks arrogant to me. When I look at him, I see an arrogant expression. But anyway.
Really? No,
Anyway, so
I don't see that.
Are you surprised by the fact I love female action stars? I mean, don't think Amelia Clark, Game of Thrones.
Very true. Very
Also
true.
Terminator, whatever that new one was.
Oh yeah, she was Sarah
like,
Connor.
I don't think anyone watched that though.
Oh, but also the original Sarah Connor. Okay.
Also, the
there
original.
have been a lot of women.
There have been a lot of women who've been gun-toting badasses.
Summer Laughlin, isn't that her name? Summer Laughlin. She was in Serenity, which was the movie about Firefly, that show on Fox that was like 1 season long, but it has a cult following.
No, isn't it? Her name is like River something, isn't it?
I thought it was Summer something.
Okay, I know exact. Summer
Jessica
Glau. No,
Alba?
you're right.
Summer, she's gorgeous.
Jessica Alba was in Fantastic Four.
That's true. Wasn't she also in something else? John Krasinski's wife was in like a drug bust movie.
Sicario.
Yeah,
Emily Blunt.
Really? Oh.
that's right, Emily Blunt.
But she was actually completely useless in that movie, if you've seen it.
But she was in it.
And then the one Olsen girl was in Wind River.
Oh,
Elizabeth
yeah, the one who's
Olsen?
Elizabeth.
She's also a smoke.
She's a great actress. She's a really good actress.
Yeah, she's also that. But
talented female. No, but yeah, that line frustrates me. Do you have a top 5 women in action movies?
well, if we're including TV shows, Amelia Clarke and Jennifer Garner in Game of Thrones and Alias, respectively, were both incredible. Yeah. Jennifer Garner, when I first saw her in Alias, I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
She was really cool in Alias.
They had us make like a PowerPoint when we were in like 5th grade, maybe 6th grade, of like what we do for fun, and I just found a bunch of pictures of Jennifer Garner and just all from Alias and just did slide after slide after slide.
That's what you do for fun?
I just watched Alias. It was so badass.
Yeah.
For movies, I mean, obviously, the new Tomb Raider was awesome. The old Tomb Raiders were cool. Mm-hmm. I would have to say Jennifer Garner, though. Like, Jennifer Garner in Alias was just so badass.
She's actually a great action star.
So good.
I think she had a recent action movie come back.
Jennifer Garner?
Yeah, because I remember reading a review.
Was she the one I was just talking about earlier, Peppermint?
I think, yeah, she's in Peppermint. Isn't that the new one?
Yeah.
I think that's the new one.
It came out a couple months ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the bottom line is there are lots of great action stars that are women. And, yeah, I'm a big fan. You're a big fan. So people on Twitter, they just clearly don't know what they're talking about.
Are people on Twitter bitching about this movie?
Yeah,
They're
but
saying
just
that Captain Marvel's, like,
ignore people on Twitter. People on Twitter suck.
It's annoying. They obviously don't know anything about movies. So that's my flaming hot take that you've never heard from a conservative woman before.
All right, well, thanks for joining in, everyone. We'll see you next time.